I'm definitely like curious about your acting. When did that first start for
Oh,
you?
I started when I was 5.
Yeah, and was that like your own like
Yeah.
mom, dad, I want to be an actor, or did they? It was
Well,
you.
my mom was an actress. My mom still is an
Oh,
actress. My mom does episodics, specifically right now because it's kind of easier to get into. She was recently on The Politician. She was on a few episodes of The Politician. Yeah, my mom had, gone to school for. She went to UArts. And she stopped to have me because my dad's in the military and she's an actor, and she's like, well, if none of us are going to be home, one of us has to stay home to raise the child. And I was like 5, and she was working like for like an insurance company or something. And I was like, hey, you know how you used to do that? And I was pointing at the TV. I was like, you know how you used to do that? I want to do that. And she was like, are you sure? Like, it's a weird business. And I said, yeah, I do. So she took me to her manager. Her manager's husband had an acting school in Philly on like Third and Vine. And she brought me there and was like, actor? And her manager was like, well, we're also looking for an acting teacher. And she was like, I could do that.
oh wow,
So lo and behold, my mom's an acting teacher now, and I'm an actor, and
that's incredible.
here we are.
That's awesome. Do you remember the first thing you kind of really acted in?
Yeah, it was Invincible, a movie about the Eagles.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
so I got it. Like, okay, we've gotten to talk to some pretty cool people on the podcast, but you are one of the only people I that like has like a Wikipedia page, and
Oh
so
shit, I do have a Wikipedia page. I forgot
yeah,
about that.
which they're missing some key info. So if we can get you to spill some beans on some stuff, maybe they'll
Beans.
update
I
it.
have plenty of beans to spill.
But I so like I knew you were in the Jumanji films, and I was your filmography's on there. We don't know how, of course, like um
Accurate it is, or
accurate it
yeah.
is, but I saw Invincible, and I was like, what? Because that
Hmm.
was an important movie for me when I first saw it as a little kid with my big football family. And so I rewatched it today, actually,
Hmm.
and you were like a little squirt.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little me. It's a little baby me.
How, I'm so curious, like, how did you get that role? Because for those who haven't seen it, you're the head coach, you're the Philadelphia Eagles head coach's little daughter,
Yeah.
and you're on it for maybe 2.5 seconds.
Hmm.
All you do is you run up and you hug your dad, and
I
then you go
hugged
like
Greg
play.
Kinnear.
You
My
hug Greg
first.
Kinnear. How was so? And I was thinking like, okay, if I'm like producing that movie, why don't I just get like my kids to go do it? That's so crazy that you know, they what did they like pick you out of a bunch, or was there a
So,
connection?
well, Heary Casting is a big casting director. Diane Heary is a big casting director in Philly, and she had connections with the acting school. So she said, "Hey, like, you know, send over your students. Like, we're looking for like, a young girl to play." Because at the time, that's what I was, a girl. Um, and yeah, I just went in and I read the lines, and they were like, "You're cute and you can read, so here's the job." And I was like, "Sick, cool."
That's awesome.
And then they put me in some 70s garb and sent me over, and they said, "Go hug that man." And I said, "Cool." And my mom's freaking out because she knows who Greg Kinnear is, and I'm like,
Kinnears.
I don't know what's happening. Um, but we also Vince Papale was on set.
Oh,
And
really?
again, I'm 5. I
Yeah.
don't know who that is. But my mom lost her cell phone, and he was like, "Is this your cell phone?" And she was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Vince Papale found my phone."
Oh my
And my
god. And that,
parents,
yeah.
again, freaking out. I mean, except my dad. My dad is from Massachusetts, so he doesn't care about the Eagles. But
But yeah, I'm making that connection right now too. Like growing up near Philadelphia and that whole
mhm,
movie's, yeah, that's incredible.
it was wild because I was 5, and I was like, I'm just having a great time. There's food, there's people to pay attention to me. Cool. So
Very cool. And I mean, whether you've had a big role or a smaller role, you've gotten to kind of like rub elbows with some pretty incredible actors, to
I
say the
guess, yeah.
least, right? It's pretty awesome when you get to like be in a scene with a Danny DeVito or something to that effect. Are you fanning out? Are you to yourself? Are you trying to pick up some insight? What how do you approach that?
I'm to myself to a certain extent. Like I kind of try to read the room because I'm like not socially great. So I just sort of like kind of read the room, and if there's people there that are more seasoned than me, like a Danny DeVito, I'm like, I'll introduce myself, but I'm not gonna like go up and berate him.
Sure.
But it was actually really, the Danny DeVito thing reminds me. I was when we were filming the that scene where we were, all the kids in Jumanji were with him. Um, he was like, so where's everybody from? And they were telling where I was like, yeah, I'm from Philly. And he's like, Philly. And I was like, yeah, I'm a really big Always Sunny fan, and so are my friends. He's like, that's so cool. And he gave me a fist bump, and I was like,
Whoa.
on the inside, freaking out. On the outside, like very professional.
I wouldn't have been able to handle that. I would have kissed him right on the top of the head.
He's so small. Because I met him when I was like 8, because he was casting a film, and he was the director, and unfortunately the film lost funding, but I was chosen for the role, and then the film lost funding. And we were at the read through, and I introduced myself, and I said to one of my castmates, I was like, he probably doesn't remember me because I was like, 8, taller than him, but 8. So I thought that was kind of weird. I was like, wow, funny how the world works in that way.
Well, I think how much of having success in that acting world, like how much of it is pure talent, and then how much of it is luck? Because how many auditions do you? Yeah,
a lot of it's luck, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it. There's also, with the rise of social media, like they will look at your followers.
Oh wow.
Because they're like, there are some casting studios that will look at your followers and be like, oh, like, is this person gonna bring in ratings? And there's also just like right place, right time.
Yeah.
Do you look like, if you're like being casted into a family, do you look enough like the mom and dad? Do you look enough like, the siblings? I was pretty lucky in when I got the role for the miniseries Mildred Pierce. I grow up into Evan Rachel Wood, and I look a lot like Evan Rachel Wood. So it kind of like worked out that way. They were like, yeah, you're good and you can handle this role, but also you look so much like the actress that plays the older you. So there's stuff like that. There's so many factors, and that's why like there are a lot of really, really good like working actors. Like only like 1% become famous. Like, there's all these celebrities and stuff, but that's only 1%, and everybody else is below the level, and like we're just scrounging for auditions and like just trying to get our head above water. Yeah, it's actually been kind of frustrating because I really haven't had a lot of auditions. And then like since sort of pushing my like, I guess, queer agenda of being like, being a queer person represented properly in film, not just going for female roles, but going for like, other kinds of roles. Oddly enough, that's presented a challenge, which I thought it wasn't going to, because like they're casting non-binary people in films now, like as non-binary people. And I'm like, well, that's me. Cast me. But, it's the right project will come along. That's what I keep telling myself.
For sure it will.
But it's definitely a interesting balance of luck, and I kind of rambled a little bit there because I'm very passionate about this subject. But
it's a podcast. Yeah, it's a podcast.
True.
Sure.
True, it is a podcast. But yeah,
We've
no,
never had
it's
somebody who's been in movies on here, so
true. I do. You know what? I'll give myself that. I'll give myself that. Yeah, it's a weird business. It's sort of like music. It's like there are so many like musicians that are famous that like suck. And there's so many musicians. There's so many bands like you guys, like any of the bands that I'm in, where it's like,
I was literally gonna say so many friends that I've seen over the years.
Yeah.
It's like how are more people like not paying attention to this?
Yeah. So it's crazy, man. Like, and also the public doesn't always know what it wants too. So it's like,
yeah,
you can make 75 movies with the same actors and they don't care because they want to see the same actors. So
I mean, I
be
personally
like
want
that.
I personally want more Mo Turner on the big screen. That's me though.
Me too, because that means I get to do the thing I like to do.